It started on a morning that smelled like metal and rain. I remember the sound before anything else. The slow hum of machines waking up in the warehouse yard, the hiss of tires on the soaked asphalt. My boots were still wet when I stepped into the building that I had built from nothing. 16 years of sweat, of missed birthdays, of debts I thought I'd never pay. And yet, there it stood, a monument to my obsession. I had always thought my father would be proud. Maybe not warm about it, but at least respectful. The man believed in effort, not emotion. You don't inherit success, he'd always say. You earn it. So I did. I earned it in sleepless nights and split knuckles. When I opened the door to the conference room that morning, my sister was already there. She was sitting in my chair. "Morning," she said, her voice light, rehearsed. I stopped. The table was full. Board members, accountants, lawyers, faces that had watched me grow from an intern into the man who ran everything. My father stood at the far end, his hands clasped behind his back, expression unreadable. I didn't know yet that it would be the last day I ever saw him as family. He cleared his throat. "Ethan," he said, "sit down." Something in his tone was off. Cold, clipped. I sat, though my gut twisted. He nodded at the lawyer, who began sliding papers across the table. "This," the lawyer said, "is the official transfer of executive control from Ethan Cole to Emily Cole, effective immediately." At first, I thought it was a joke. My brain refused to register the words. Emily smiled politely, pretending not to enjoy it, but her eyes gave her away, sharp, glinting like glass. I laughed just once. "What is this?" My father didn't answer. He only gestured for me to read. My name was there, in ink, next to the word relinquish. "I built this company," I said quietly. "You all know that. Every brick, every deal, every client." My father's voice cut through mine. "And now your sister will continue it." I stared at him, waiting for a punchline that never came. He didn't even look sorry. The silence stretched long enough for me to feel something fracture deep inside me. Emily folded her hands like she was in prayer. "It's for the best, Ethan," she said softly. "You've been tired lately. Maybe you need time away." I stood. "Time away?" I repeated, my pulse hammering in my temples. "You mean time away from everything I've done for this family?" My father exhaled through his nose. "Enough. This decision is final." I looked at each face around the table. No one met my eyes. They were already shifting allegiance, as if power was a contagion that moved on breath alone. I left without another word. The rain had turned into a downpour outside, washing everything gray. I stood in it until the cold seeped into my bones. Inside me, something dark began to take root. For weeks, I didn't speak to anyone. My phone rang endlessly. Journalists, employees, old friends pretending to care. I ignored them all. The only message that mattered came from an unknown number, late one night. It read, "You don't know the whole story." At first, I thought it was a prank, but the next day, an envelope appeared under my apartment door. No return address. Inside was a photo, grainy, black and white, of my sister sitting in a restaurant with a man I recognized instantly. Victor Hale, the same corporate shark who had tried to buy us out 3 years ago. Back then, I'd fought him off. He'd called me too sentimental to survive in this business. Now he was sitting with my sister, smiling like a man who'd already won. The photo was dated a month before my father's decision. I stared at it for a long time, my breath coming slower, colder. That was when I knew. This wasn't just betrayal. It was a setup. I started digging, quietly. I had friends in finance, contacts in the legal department who owed me favors. It didn't take long to find traces, hidden accounts, forged signatures, deals rewritten in secret. The company I built had been sold off in pieces long before they'd stripped my name from it. Emily wasn't the puppet. She was the knife, but the hand that held it was still my father's. I didn't confront them. Not yet. Revenge is like architecture. You build it carefully, one brick at a time. Instead, I started to disappear. Casually, deliberately. I sold my apartment, moved into a smaller place by the docks. I began meeting people I'd once sworn I'd never associate with, hackers, brokers, and those who made information disappear for the right price. Every night, I played the same recording on repeat, the last voicemail my father had ever left me. "Be a man about this, Ethan," he'd said. "Don't make this harder than it has to be." I listened until the words lost their meaning. Until they became fuel. Months passed, and the company thrived under Emily's name. She became the face of innovation, the press calling her a visionary. My father smiled beside her in every photo. Meanwhile, I watched from the shadows as cracks began to form. A discrepancy in shipment logs. A missing $7 million that no one could account for. Someone had to take the fall eventually. I just had to wait for the right moment. Then one evening, I received another message from the same unknown number. It said, "He's sick." I didn't believe it until I saw him myself. My father was thinner, his skin ashen, eyes sunken. The empire he'd stolen from me had started to consume him. He didn't recognize me at first when I walked into his hospital room. "You look terrible," he muttered finally, his voice rough. "Thanks," I said. He tried to sit up. "Emily's handling things. She's strong." I leaned closer. "Strong enough to steal from you?" His eyes flickered, uncertain. I showed him the documents I'd gathered. The hidden transfers, the offshore accounts, the contracts signed in his name after his illness had already started. Emily had learned from the best. He stared at the papers for a long time before saying, "She wouldn't." "She did," I whispered. "She's been selling off your legacy piece by piece." For the first time, I saw doubt in his expression, then fear. I left him there, staring at the truth he'd built with his own arrogance. That night, Emily called me. Her voice was sharp, panicked. "What did you tell him?" I didn't answer. "You think this makes you better than me?" she hissed. "You think this changes anything?" "No," I said quietly, "but it's a start." She hung up. From that moment, everything accelerated. The company's stock fell. Investigations began. My father's health declined rapidly. Emily tried to cover her tracks, but she was too visible, too desperate, and then she vanished. One day, she was there, front page news, and the next, gone without a trace. The police said she'd fled the country, but I knew better. She'd left something behind, something she hadn't meant to. A message, hidden in a server file I found later, encrypted but not enough to stop me. It was an audio file recorded in her voice. She was crying. "I didn't mean for it to go this far," she said. "He said we'd share it, that Father would never find out. But Victor, he lied." The recording cut off. I replayed it over and over, trying to understand the last sound before it ended. A door slamming. A man's voice, low, commanding. Victor Hale. The man who had started all of this. The man who had used both of us as pieces in his game. I looked out the window at the city skyline, lights flickering against the rain. The world thought I had lost everything, but they were wrong. I had just begun to take it back, rain again. It always seemed to return when I was about to make a decision that would change everything. I stood on the pier that night. The city sprawled behind me like a graveyard of broken promises. Every light felt distant, hollow. The file Emily left behind kept replaying in my mind, her voice shaking, the sound of that door, and the man's voice. Victor Hale. The name alone used to make my blood boil. Now it burned. I'd learned enough about revenge to know it's never quick. It's slow, surgical, the kind that eats at you while you sharpen the blade. And for what he'd done, for what he'd taken, Victor didn't deserve a simple fall. He deserved to watch his empire crumble the way mine had. But first, I needed to know the truth about Emily. Her apartment was sealed off by police tape, but that didn't mean much. I still had contacts in private security. People who didn't ask why. They let me in under the cover of night. The place smelled like perfume and fear. Drawers half open, clothes scattered, one wine glass on the counter. It looked like she'd left in a hurry or been made to. I walked through the room slowly, touching nothing. A photo sat on her desk, me and her at a company event years ago. She'd written something on the back in pen. "You always wanted to fix everything." I pocketed it. On her nightstand, there was a flash drive hidden beneath a false drawer bottom. She'd learned that trick from me. I almost smiled. Almost. I plugged it into my laptop in the car. Inside were encrypted folders labeled with dates, transactions, video clips, voice memos. She'd been documenting everything from her meetings with Victor to her conversations with Father. The last folder was titled October 7, the day before she disappeared. The first video started shaky, her holding her phone to her chest as she spoke. "He's getting impatient," she whispered. "Victor says Father's losing control, that the board will sign anything he puts in front of them. But something's off. I think he's recording me. If anything happens, Ethan." She looked around suddenly, eyes wide. A noise, someone entering the room. then static. I sat there in silence, my knuckles white on the steering wheel. I'd wanted to hate her, but in that moment, all I felt was regret. She'd tried to warn me. That night, I reached out to someone I hadn't spoken to in years, Riley. Riley used to be one of my best engineers before I lost everything. Brilliant, paranoid, loyal in the way only someone betrayed by the same system can be. She picked up after 2 rings. "Didn't think I'd hear your voice again," she said. "Need a favor," I replied. "Must be serious." "It's about Victor Hale." There was a pause, then a soft laugh. "You just said the magic words. Meet me tomorrow. Same place." The same place was an abandoned parking garage where we used to test prototypes after hours. When I arrived, she was already there, leaning against her old, beat-up car, hair damp from the rain. "You look like hell," she said. "Been living there," I said. She smirked. "So what's the play?" I told her everything. Emily's betrayal, father's illness, the recording, the file. I expected skepticism, maybe pity. Instead, she just nodded. "I knew something was off about that buyout," she said. "Victor's hands are dirtier than most people think. He doesn't just buy companies. He guts them from the inside, replaces leadership, and leaves the carcass to rot. But if your sister got involved..." "She didn't just get involved," I said quietly. "She got used." Riley looked at me for a long time. "Then I guess it's time we use him." For the next few weeks, we built a plan. We traced Victor's financial network, offshore accounts, shell corporations, falsified assets. The man was a ghost, but ghosts always leave fingerprints. Riley hacked into internal servers, digging through encrypted messages and hidden call logs. One night, she called me over. "You need to see this." On her screen was a video file recorded in one of Victor's private offices. He was there, sitting across from Emily. "You're not listening," she said in the clip. This wasn't the deal. Victor smiled. "The deal changes when I say it does. You got your power, your father's company. That's what you wanted." She shook her head. "Not like this. Ethan deserved." "Ethan was weak," Victor interrupted. "He had the vision, but not the stomach. You do. But if you're thinking of walking away now, I suggest you remember who gave you that seat." Emily stood, her face pale. "You don't own me." Victor leaned forward, voice low. "Everyone's owned by something." The recording ended there. I felt my hands trembling. It wasn't just anger anymore. It was focus. Cold, perfect focus. Riley looked at me. "You know what this means?" I nodded. "It means I'm going to burn everything he's built." But Victor Hale wasn't a man you confronted directly. He was insulated. Guards, lawyers, politicians. His world was made of glass, but one wrong move and it would cut deep. So I needed to play his game. I re-entered the corporate world quietly, through back doors and old alliances. New name, new company, small contracts, consulting gigs. I made myself useful to the same people who once sold me out. Soon enough, my name, my alias, started floating through the same circles Victor controlled. It wasn't long before one of his people reached out, a woman named Dahlia. She ran public relations, which was really just a polite term for manipulation. We met in a rooftop bar, her red dress a slash of color against the storm-dark sky. "I've heard a lot about you," she said, sipping her drink. "All lies, I'm sure." She smiled faintly. "Victor likes talented men, especially ones who don't ask too many questions." "Then he'll love me," I said. We talked business. She offered contracts, small, harmless at first, data analysis, internal audits, but every job brought me closer to Victor's core. Through her, I got access to the company's encrypted files. Riley helped me install a ghost program that mirrored everything back to us. Within weeks, we had full visibility into Victor's private communications. That's when we found it, a folder labeled Project Reclamation. It contained blueprints, investor letters, and an internal memo. Phase 3, absorption of coal industries. He was planning to destroy what little remained of my father's legacy. That was when I decided I wouldn't just ruin him. I'd make him watch as everything he touched turned to ash. Riley warned me, "You're getting too deep. You're starting to sound like him." "Maybe that's what it takes," I said. She stared at me for a long time before replying, "Just don't forget who you were." But I already had. Over the next few months, I fed Victor false data, reports that would slowly sabotage his deals from within. I redirected funds, changed signatures, erased evidence. The walls began to close in around him, and he didn't even see it happening. Until one night, Dahlia called. Her voice was different, shaken. He knows, she whispered. He knows someone's inside. Inside where? I asked. His system. His accounts. He's tearing everything apart looking for it. You need to disappear. But I wasn't going anywhere. I went straight to his penthouse instead. Security was tight, but I still knew the old access codes from when I'd once been invited there, years ago, when we were still pretending to be rivals instead of enemies. The elevator doors opened to silence. The lights were dim. Victor was standing by the window, looking out over the city. I was wondering when you'd come, he said without turning. Then you know why I'm here, he chuckled softly. Revenge. It always circles back, doesn't it? Like gravity. I took a step closer. What did you do to my sister? He finally turned, and his eyes gleamed with something that wasn't fear. Your sister was clever, he said, but not clever enough. She thought she could outplay me. I gave her a choice, and she chose wrong. My fists clenched. You killed her. Kill? He smiled thinly. No, let's just say she's beyond your reach. I lunged forward, grabbing him by the collar. Where is she? He didn't answer. He just looked amused. Like I was some desperate child. Everything you built, he whispered. Everything you loved. It's gone because you never understood one thing. And what's that? He leaned close, his breath hot against my ear. You and I aren't that different. For a second, I saw it, my reflection in his eyes. The hunger, the anger, the emptiness. Maybe he was right. But I'd made my choice long before that night. I shoved him back and walked away, leaving him standing there, smiling in the dark. When I stepped out into the rain again, I knew what I had to do next. If Emily was still alive, I would find her. And if she wasn't, then Victor Hale was already a dead man walking. The night I found her was the coldest of my life. Not because of the air, it was still and heavy, but because of the silence. The kind that presses against your skull until even your heartbeat sounds guilty. Riley had traced a signal, a single ping from a burner phone that matched Emily's last digital footprint. It came from an abandoned industrial complex 2 hours outside the city. I didn't tell Riley I was going. She would have tried to stop me. The road was long, endless, a black ribbon through nowhere. By the time I reached the gates, the sun was a dying ember on the horizon. I stepped out into the twilight, gun heavy in my pocket. The building loomed like a carcass, broken windows, rusted metal, graffiti that time had erased halfway. Inside, the air smelled of oil and dust. My footsteps echoed too loudly. I followed the sound of dripping water deeper into the dark. Then a light flickered ahead, bare, pale, unnatural. That's when I heard her voice. Ethan? I froze. Ethan, is that you? I ran toward the sound through a maze of old machinery and scaffolding until I found her, sitting on the floor, back against a concrete wall, wrists bound with rope. She looked thinner, eyes hollow, but it was her. I dropped to my knees beside her, fumbling with the knots. I've got you, I whispered. She looked up at me, trembling. You shouldn't have come. What are you talking about? It's not over, she said. You don't understand. He knew you'd come. And then the lights came on, all at once, flooding the room with harsh white brilliance. From the shadows, Victor Hale stepped forward, slow and deliberate, clapping his hands once, softly. Touching, he said, truly. I stood, gun raised. Let her go. He smiled, always so dramatic. You really think I'd hurt her? Emily's eyes flicked toward him. Fear, guilt, something I couldn't read. She's alive, isn't she? Victor said. I kept her that way, for you. My voice came out rough. Why? Because you're predictable, Ethan. You always have been. Every move you made, every file you stole, every plan you thought was yours, it was all part of the same pattern. You wanted revenge? Good. I gave you the tools, I gave you the target. I took a step closer. You're lying. He laughed quietly. Am I? Who do you think leaked those photos? Who sent you those messages? Who told you about your father's illness before the papers did? I needed you angry. I needed you hungry because you, my boy, were the perfect weapon. I felt the world tilt. Emily was crying now. He's telling the truth, she whispered. He used both of us. Don't, I said. Don't you dare. He told me to take the company, she went on. Said it would make Father trust him. He promised you'd be safe if I played along. But when I tried to stop, her voice broke. Victor watched us like a director admiring his final scene. I built this, Ethan. Every step. I made your father doubt you. I made your sister betray you. And when you finally decided to destroy me... He spread his hands. You did exactly what I wanted. My hand tightened around the gun. Why? What could you possibly gain? Everything, he said softly. You burned my competitors, you sabotaged the investors who were turning against me, and you erased evidence I needed gone. You were the cleanup, the perfect, furious ghost. And now, he stepped closer, you'll take the fall for all of it. Something inside me snapped. I pulled the trigger. The shot echoed through the warehouse like thunder. Victor staggered back, clutching his side, but he didn't fall. He smiled, even as blood soaked through his shirt. Too late, he said. The police are already on their way. Anonymous tip. They'll find you here, gun in hand, with every digital breadcrumb leading straight back to you. Congratulations, Ethan. You've finally taken back your company. He collapsed to the floor, still laughing. I turned to Emily. We have to go, I said. Now! But she didn't move. She just stared at me, tears cutting lines down her dirty cheeks. You don't get it, she whispered. There's no way out. He owned everything, even me. Stop talking like that. I grabbed her hand, but she pulled away. She looked at me one last time, something unreadable in her eyes. Pity, maybe. You became him, she said softly. Sirens echoed in the distance. I turned, scanning for an exit, but the walls seemed to close in. The screens flickered to life around us, old monitors that lined the factory walls. Each one showed images, files, headlines. Corporate saboteur identified as former CEO Ethan Cole. Cole Industries fraud investigation expands. Manhunt underway. My face on every one. And beneath it all, a final message scrolled across the screens. Thank you for your service. Riley called me then. I answered on instinct. Ethan, what did you do? Her voice trembled. Everything's burning, every account, every system. You're listed as the administrator. It's all tied to you. My throat was dry. He set me up. She was crying now. You don't understand. There's a video circulating already. It shows you killing him. I turned back to Victor's body. The red light on a camera in the corner blinked faintly. Recording. Riley, listen to me, I said. But the line went dead. Emily was gone. The rope she'd been bound with lay on the floor, cut clean. For a moment, I thought maybe she'd escaped. Then I noticed the side door swinging open, the faint echo of footsteps receding into the night. I stumbled toward the exit, my pulse hammering in my ears. Outside, the sirens were closer. The sky had turned a violent shade of gray. I ran, through mud, through fog, through the wreckage of everything I'd built and destroyed. My lungs burned, but I couldn't stop, not until I reached the edge of the river. The water churned, black and bottomless. Across it, the city lights flickered, distant and cold. That's when I saw her again, Emily, standing on the opposite bank, illuminated by headlights from an unmarked car. She wasn't alone. A tall man stepped out from the car, his face half hidden by the shadows. For one brief, terrible moment, I thought it was Victor, but it couldn't be. He was dead. Then the man stepped closer to her, placed a hand on her shoulder, and smiled. And I understood. Victor Hale had never been just a man. He was a name, a face that could be replaced, rebuilt. The man I killed was a mask, and Emily, she wasn't running from him. She was walking toward him. The headlights turned and they disappeared down the road. I fell to my knees by the water, the truth crashing over me like the tide. Every step I'd taken, every victory I'd claimed, it was all orchestrated. My revenge had been the final act in his design. Somewhere behind me, the sirens wailed louder, closer. I looked down at my hands, shaking, bloodied, empty. For years, I'd believed the worst thing my father ever did was betray me. But now,